Welcome to Parental Alienation and Narcissism by J. Claude McDaniel. This program is to help you heal and navigate through the hardships associated with narcissistic alienation. Please like and subscribe.
Welcome to episode 18. My name is J. Claude McDaniel, author and victim of alienation. I share my experiences, education, and provide valuable information that I hope will help you navigate through your plight. In this episode, I take you back into why to maintain diaries again. The first sign something isn't right and alienation may be in your future. Part A. Maintaining diaries again. The first sign something isn't right. At first, Alex thought he was imagining it. A missed phone call. A canceled visit. A strange comment from one of his children that seemed oddly rehearsed. Nothing dramatic. Nothing he could point to and say, "There it is." Just a growing sense that something felt different. Something felt off. Like pieces of a puzzle no longer fit together the way they once had. Most parents facing parental alienation don't wake up one morning and recognize it immediately. The process is rarely obvious. It often begins quietly. A small shift in communication. A change in attitude. A growing distance that seems difficult to explain. For Alex, the warning signs appeared gradually. His children seemed hesitant to share certain things. Simple conversations became guarded. Questions about school or activities were met with unusually brief answers. At first, he assumed it was normal growing up. Normal changes. Normal adjustments long after divorce. But over time, patterns began to emerge. And patterns matter. Because parental alienation is rarely revealed through one event. It reveals itself through repeated behaviors over time. That realization led Alex to one of the most important decisions he would ever make. He started keeping a diary. Not because he anticipated a court battle. Not because he wanted ammunition against another parent. But because he wanted clarity. He wanted a record of what was actually happening. Memory is imperfect. Life becomes busy. Events blur together. Emotions cloud recollection. A diary creates something different. It creates a timeline. A record. A snapshot of reality preserved before memories begin to fade. Alex again began documenting simple things. Visits, phone calls, conversations, schedule changes, school activities. Nothing dramatic, just facts. At the time, he had no idea how valuable those notes would become. Months later, when questions arose, he could look back and see patterns that would have otherwise been invisible. What felt random wasn't random. What felt isolated wasn't isolated. A diary can reveal a bigger picture. Perhaps most importantly, it gave Alex something many targeted parents struggle to maintain. Confidence in his own memory. Confidence in what had actually happened. Confidence that reality was not being rewritten. As the signs became more noticeable, Alex realized that documentation wasn't about preparing for conflict. It was about preserving truth. Because when relationships become complicated, facts matter. Memories matter. And having a clear record can provide clarity during some of the most confusing periods of a parent's life. In the part B of this episode, we'll talk about writing your story as someone else writes one to erase your existence. Part B. Writing your story before a possible alienator does. As the months passed, Alex's diary became more than a notebook. It became a safeguard. A record of moments that might otherwise have been forgotten. A place where facts lived untouched by emotion, rumor, or revision. One lesson became clear very quickly. A useful diary is not a place for anger. It is a place for accuracy. Every entry followed a simple structure. The date, the time, the event, the people involved, and an objective description of what occurred. Nothing more. Nothing less. For example, scheduled pickup at 5 p.m. Child arrived at 6:15 p.m. Appeared quiet and withdrawn. We proceeded with planned dinner and homework. Simple. Factual. Professional. Alex avoided assumptions. He avoided speculation. And he avoided emotional commentary. Not because he lacked emotions, but because facts carry far greater weight than frustration. Over time, Alex experimented with different methods of record keeping. Sometimes he used a handwritten journal. Other times digital notes. Occasionally voice memos helped capture details before they faded from memory. The format mattered less than the consistency. What mattered was documenting events while they were still fresh. Another important lesson emerged. Not every entry involved problems. In fact, some of the most valuable entries captured positive moments. A science fair project completed together. A successful soccer game. A long conversation during a car ride. A family photo from a weekend outing. These moments served an important purpose. They documented the relationship itself. The connection. The involvement. The love. Because parenting isn't defined only by conflict. It's defined by presence. By participation. By showing up. Alex eventually realized that his diary wasn't simply preserving evidence. It was preserving memories. A record of the relationship he had worked so hard to maintain. He also understood the importance of protecting those records. Digital files were backed up. Passwords were secured. Important documents were stored safely. Because documentation only helps if it remains available when needed. Years later, when questions arose from an attorney or therapist, or even those alienated themselves about events long past, Alex discovered something remarkable. He didn't have to rely on memory alone. He had a timeline, a history, a written account created when events actually happened. And that made all the difference. The lesson from this episode is simple. If parental alienation begins to emerge, confusion often follows. Memories become challenged. Narratives become distorted. Facts become disputed. A well-maintained diary helps anchor you to reality. It allows you to see patterns, preserve important moments, and maintain confidence in your own experiences. Because stories change, rumors spread, memories fade. But a carefully maintained record can become one of the most valuable tools a parent possesses. As this story continues, we'll expand on how important documentation can help identify larger behavioral patterns, recognize early signs of alienation, and strengthen a parent's ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally when challenges arise. This ends episode 18 of my videos. In episode 19 we'll hammer more on how important documentation is, especially if you find yourself suddenly being alienated. Thank you for reviewing my site and listening to this episode. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It helps this valuable site to grow and spread sound child behaviors and alienation information. Sincere thanks, J. Claude McDaniel.